Pocatello Business Podcast is sponsored by New Clean Commercial Cleaning, locally owned and serving all Southeast Idaho.
Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, we are here with Mitch Greer. This is the second episode of the Pocatello Business Podcast and Facebook. It's going to be on there as well, so remember to hit that. So let me introduce Mitch Greer to you here for a minute. He founded Rocky Mountain Engineering in 1997. It's one of the largest engineering companies in Pocatello. He's been responsible and overseen, correct my English, over $200 million in civil construction costs, correct?
Sure.
Was elected in 2000 Young Engineer of the Year by the Idaho Society of Professional Engineers. 2006, he taught a senior level technical roadway design class at ISU as an adjunct professor. Mitch has served 5 years on the ISU Bengal Foundation Board of Directors, 3 years on the Pocatello Chubbuck Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and served as the chair and now committee chair of the Southeast Idaho Math.
I'm not anymore.
Not anymore, but you were for quite a few years.
Yep, a lot of years.
Math competition for 7th and 8th graders. And in 2017, he received the Distinguished Professional Achievement Award from the Idaho State University, the engineering department there. So, Mitch Greer, owner, all-around good dude. Tell us a little about yourself, a little family, hobbies, kids, dogs.
So I've been married for about 20 years to my wife, Tiffany.
Okay.
We have 3 kids. Alex is my oldest. He's 13. Drew is 11. And Jace is 6. We spend most of our time just chasing those guys around and kind of trying to keep them involved in lots of different things and keep them busy. I like to golf in the summer. In the wintertime, I spend a lot of time just working. But we do, a lot of different hobbies like ski and outdoor stuff. So.
Perfect. Well, that's good. It's good to be diversified and being a good dad. That's important. So Mitch, when did you realize you had this kind of an entrepreneur side of yourself? You had engineering jobs after you graduated and all that kind of stuff, but when did you decide,
I would say it was probably fostered by my father, who was entrepreneurial. He had a number of different businesses and things throughout his life, and kind of ventured out on his own a lot of different times, and so I kind of probably got that from him. Okay. Primarily.
That's good. It runs in the family then. That's good stuff. So how did you get started? How did you?
When I first got out of college, I worked for a short time for the transportation department. I did just kind of an internship type position with them. When that ended, I went to work for a very small consulting engineering company in Soda Springs. I worked there for a little bit of time. Basically kind of working on my own almost. I did have a mentor boss in that company, but as time went along, I decided I wanted a little more activity, I guess, than what Soda had to offer. And so I came to Pocatello kind of pursuing a master's in engineering. And also, I had another opportunity to take a position with a smaller engineering company here in Pocatello. And they primarily had me more or less managing a lot of that company. So So I was hired as into the management type position there. Myself and another individual were the primary managers of that company. And as time went along, the owner of that company became more and more, I guess, disenchanted with the business and spent less and less time in the business and pretty much left it to myself and another person to just manage and do everything associated with that business. And as time went along, it became more difficult to be successful in that role, where you had kind of a disinterested owner making, significant decisions relative to the business that he wasn't even actually working in very much. And so we decided at that time to just kind of venture out on our own, and we did, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. So 1997, you started this thing up. Has it been just a pleasure cruise the whole way?
Nothing's a pleasure cruise. So I would say, I tell this story a little bit. When we started, we set a few goals for the business. We have one of the main goals that we had initially was to acquire our own office building. We had a goal to get surveying under our roof so that we could control engineering and surveying as a function of our business. It's kind of an important, they go together, kind of fit together, and if you're not able to control both of those assets or parts of the business, it's very difficult to be successful and to compete and control your own schedules and things like that. So we set that as a goal. We had some other financial goals that we set, and within 6 months of opening our business, we'd already met all of our goals. And so we were then sitting there thinking, okay, now what's our next round of goals? Those were kind of more long-term goals. And so that was, we met with some really early success, but, I think at that time we really didn't, we didn't get into the nuts and bolts of the business. It was all fun and exciting and new, and so it really, the hard times didn't come until later.
Sure.
Yes. So a lot of the hard times, the growing pains, the hiring of staff, all that kind of stuff is a lot of the struggles that you have with the business that we didn't really see early on.
Sure.
We were very fortunate with a lot of the early staff that we hired. Were very very motivated individually, and we were very fortunate to get very good employees early on, and so we didn't struggle with that for a number of years in our business until later on that we started to kind of experience more of that those difficulties. But really, probably the biggest hurdles and things that we experience as a business is just our staff. I mean, I think it's very difficult to get staff. It's very difficult to train staff. It's difficult to have staff do exactly what you want them to do. And so those are the struggles, I think, primarily with the business.
Yeah.
So we're faced with, we have a situation where we've never really been shy on work. We've always had a lot of work to do. Where we've been held back is having the appropriate staff to do the work that we have. And that's probably what most businesses face.
Why is that? Is it just a lack of people going into that industry in our area, or what?
I think when the crash happened, a lot of people kind of looked at other types of professions. The way ISU now is they've transitioned some of their programs that we used to draw from pretty regularly. We would hire a 2-year VOTEC graduate that had a civil technology degree, and there's very few students in that anymore. They pretty much don't put out those types of graduates anymore, and so filling those positions in our company has been very difficult. So basically what we've had to do is we train almost everyone coming out of school, or anyone that we hire, we have to fully train them. And in our case, it can take years.
Yeah.
And so
complex stuff.
Yeah, and so by the time, sometimes it takes a very long time. There's some people that really pick it up relatively quickly, and when I say relatively quickly, it might be a year, and there's some people that it takes years and years. So it's a huge investment in that person before they can actually really produce in our company very efficiently.
Yeah, you have a different struggles than a lot of other companies because you're training them, you're hiring them, training them, and then you're just like, hope they're good, and then after you get them all trained, I hope they stay, type thing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we have, and we've been pretty fortunate in that most people that come to work here don't leave.
That's awesome.
So
what do you contribute that to?
I think as a company, we have a pretty laid back philosophy. We support our employees as far as being able to attend their kids' functions, being able to take off time when they need it. We certainly have good benefits, and our pay is as good or better than what our competitors pay. I think
that's great.
All those things kind of boil into it.
That's great. And
then I think in general, we have a decent reputation. I think people are proud of the work that they produce here, and it gives our employees a sense of pride when they see what we're able to accomplish as a team.
Sure. You guys have been a part of some big projects.
We have, yep.
We'll get to that too in a little bit, but what would older Mitch tell younger Mitch when you was first starting to kind of keep him motivated when you ran into some of the tough times and some of the struggles and some of the obstacles you ran into?
So keeping motivated is a interesting, that's kind of a dilemma. So it is hard to stay motivated. What I think you need to do is focus on the successes. So it's and it's not just financial successes. It's just sometimes maybe you didn't make everything you wanted to on a particular project, but the project at the end is really something that you can be proud of. And so I'm telling myself now, I think that's what younger Mitch is telling older Mitch, more so than the reverse.
Sure.
Again, when we first started, it was all new and exciting, and so you're not maybe as focused on making money as you should be. And as you get older, you kind of get more, it becomes more clear that, hey, you're in business to make money, and it needs to be fun, but you also need to have that element of actually making a profit and supporting your family. As you get a family, you become more dependent on the financial side of things.
Sure.
So
making a profit is part of the fun, but yeah, like you said, there's many other aspects of fun, of getting that company started and rolling. So
for sure.
Well, cool. Quick question, another one here for you. What are some specific roadblocks to watch out for someone who's watching, who's thinking about just starting a business or increasing the business or bettering their business here in Pocatello or Chudley?
So, roadblocks are that's kind of an interesting thing as well. For me, I think, I still struggle with the same roadblocks that we've had 20 years, since we've been in business. It's providing a quality product. You certainly need to be aware and be able to recognize that you're providing a good solid product. And if you're able to do that, you'll probably be able to stay in business, because people are willing to pay for that. Roadblocks that we've run into is sometimes we sacrifice a lot of profit for I don't want to say quality, because that's not the right thing, but we maybe spend too much time or too much inefficient time on projects that lead us to be less efficient financially. So you have to create a balance between the product that you're producing to make sure that it's at a high level, but then manage the profitability as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably right now our biggest roadblock for just huge financial success. Not our biggest roadblock, but one of them. The other thing, I guess, advice or thing that I would say in my business has been really built on our employees and the good people, the people that care about the business, the people that care to produce good work. If you surround yourself with that, then you're going to be successful. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And there are always people that don't care, and those are the ones that you want to try to weed out and not have be part of your organization, I think.
Yeah, they turn into a cancer.
Yeah, for sure.
They'll just spread that, hate, discontent. So, yeah, I'm sure many of us who've managed our own businesses have ran into that with staff for sure. So what are some of the common myths about your industry? If people look at the engineering and the industry as a whole, and even as a potential customer or just looking at that industry, what are some of the common myths that exist?
So what I'll say, just the common myths about engineering and engineers in general. Basically, we don't have any social skills. We're not creative at all. Everybody's boring, and that's probably a lot of those are all true. And the biggest one is we all love math. So those are the common myths about engineers in general. I don't know, I'm not really sure what the myths are about engineering, but the engineering business as a whole. But that's kind of general myths about us as engineers. So anyway.
No, that's good. That's good. So we've talked about where you are now, and do you have any future? What are your goals for the future for your company?
So I think just primarily we want to have kind of a slow, sustained growth. We certainly would like to see ourselves expand our staff at a controlled level. We certainly have the workload to do that, and then we want to improve our inter-office efficiencies. So that basically comes down to profitability. We're kind of in the stage of a business where we've been around for a long time. Now we're looking to try to just kind of massage things, make it better, make it more efficient.
Sure.
We certainly want to grow as well. But I don't know that we're going to necessarily grow so much out of our market. I don't see us really opening another office in another area, at least in the short term.
Sure. Because you are licensed in 5 other states, correct?
Probably more than that.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we're licensed all around, but
You just have little satellite offices here and there.
Yeah, and we have had satellite offices. We've had full-fledged offices in other areas, but we found it's very difficult to manage that.
Sure.
And with my demands, my family demands, and things like that, I just don't feel like we're in a good position to be able to do that right now. So
that makes sense.
we're just we can serve most of those other markets just from Pocatello.
Sure.
We can get to Twin Falls, we can get to Idaho Falls, we can go into Montana. There's, it's not that hard to service projects outside of our region from here.
I like to see that, like, you found what works for you and what's going to be successful for you, not just as a professional standpoint, but just with your family. You want to be successful with them, and if you're always gone doing these multi-state activities and projects, the other success part of your life isn't going to be out of sync. So that's awesome.
Definitely a balance there is to try to keeping it afloat. Now there was a time when the economy crashed where we really didn't have a choice. Like if we were going to stay in business as a company, I was going to go to North Dakota
Sure.
for weeks and weeks and weeks. That's just how it happened for a number of years. But in general, when we have a choice,
Yeah.
we're going to try to balance and do most of our work in Pocatello. We chose to be in Pocatello for a reason, and we kind of need to keep that as one of our goals.
Sure, I agree. I like that, and that's something you see a lot of every business owner, every successful business owner do that when times get tough with recessions, they rally, they find ways to claw themselves out and make things happen to keep businesses running. So that's awesome to see that. Okay, last question, and in closing, what advice would you give to people out there that are looking to start a business in Pocatello or make their current business run smoother?
So, a lot of people think that you're a business owner, like they perceive being a business owner as, well, now you just kind of make your own schedule, you can do your own thing, you can, you don't have to work, you don't have to do anything. But what I can tell most people is if you want your business to be successful, you have to work very, very hard, and you need to understand that your business is going to kind of run your life in some respects, and you have to be able to try to control that. But it's very, very challenging, and you need to be ready to really put more time in than if you're just an employee. It's just the way it is. And if something goes wrong at 12 o'clock at night, you're going to need to have to be the guy that deals with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just...
Especially when you're starting out.
Yeah, especially when you're starting out. And again, one of the other things that I will say, and I need to take the same advice as well, is you need to get to a point where you're working on your business, not in your business.
That's great
Everybody
advice.
always says that, and it's an old cliche. I spend a lot of time working in the business, and our business is most successful when I'm not doing all the project activities and all that kind of stuff, where I'm more functioning as a manager of the business rather than actually producing a lot of the work that's associated with it.
I like it. Well, thank you, Mitch. Thanks for coming on the
appreciate
show
it.
with us a little bit today. And people, we're just getting started. We're going to be releasing these every week on Pocatello Business Podcast. So if you're interested in doing business or starting a business, managing a business, or just making your business better, subscribe to our podcast, the Pocatello Business Podcast. Like us and follow us on Facebook. And we're just going to keep this thing rolling. Have a good day.
See ya.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.